Alabama and Georgia are on a collision course. Yeah, it kind of seems that way for not only an SEC championship, but a national championship. It's pretty painfully obvious that those two teams are such a cut ahead of everybody. Like the number 3 team right now is playing Stanford, and Stanford's about to kick an extra point or go for 2 with no time left on the clock. Hold on one second, see if this is good. This is implication, and Stanford and Oregon are going to overtime. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think these two teams are so far and away the best teams in the country. Everyone wants to talk about like this is a 2007 year, and it very may well be. But what people neglect to mention about 2007 quite often is, yeah, Boston College was a cool story. Kansas was a cool story. Mizzou was a great story. Who else? South Florida. All these teams were just West Virginia. It was just crazy upsets every week. Roller coaster ride of emotions. We ended the year with LSU and Ohio State in the national championship game. 2 powers in the national championship game. Oh, they'd beat him by more than 4 touchdowns. Stanford's a well-coached team. They always are, but they would. That's what we were just talking about. Alabama and Georgia are going to play in the SEC title game. Florida may have something this weeks or like a month, but I'm pretty certain that it's going to be them two come January in the national title game. They're so far and above everybody else. There's some nice stories out there if you're just watching in the wider realm of college football. Cincinnati going into Notre Dame today. That was awesome. Good for them. Penn State looks to be pretty good. Sean Clifford is off to a really nice start, and they still have a couple tough games. Michigan looks better, and if you're, that coaching staff, if you're not going to do it this year, then when are you going to do it? Especially winning in Madison, which they haven't done in a while. But it does look like these two teams are just so far and ahead of everybody else. There was a lot of parity that year, and we ended with the 2 teams that everybody pretty much kind of agreed were the best teams. Even when like Boston College was getting the number 1 or Missouri was getting the number 1. Agreed. They're not. What I think will end up happening is hypothetical. Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship. As long as both are undefeated at that point, Alabama would get the 1 seed. Georgia would get the 3, because I don't think the College Football Playoff Committee would bump, even if like they have like an undefeated Cincinnati team, they would bump them all the way to 4, and we'd get a rematch the next game in the semifinals. So I think they kind of did that last year with Clemson and Notre Dame, where Clemson got and Notre Dame got the 4 or the 3 or what. And Notre Dame got the 4, Clemson got the 2 or 3. That doesn't matter. It's just what jersey you wear. But yeah, I completely agree. These teams will both be in the playoff, provided they run the table. If Alabama has a weird loss to Texas A&M next week, and we can talk about that game later, then obviously we're having a different conversation. But I think you can almost pencil in these 2 teams for the playoff, whether it be, one will go one place, one will go the other place. And we could very easily see them matching up in the national championship game. Any more thoughts and comments about this game? Ole Miss losing at home Ole Miss losing on the road in Alabama, 42-21. It was just, from the get-go, after that first drive, it was just a butt kicking from Alabama for quite some time. I mean, they led 42-7 at one point. Ole Miss scored on their last 2 drives. Bryce Young did throw kind of an ugly pick there, but not much to complain about. I mean, it's 35-0 in the third quarter. Brian Robinson, today's MVP. I don't think there's any questions about that. If you disagree with me, leave a comment. You could say MVP was the defense, but I'll say the defense probably won MVP because Brian Robinson 171 yards on 33 carries, and let Alabama possess the ball for 38 minutes. "38 minutes."